All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone. My name is Tristan Harris, and Ryan Moffett is on as well to help run the meeting. The topic today is creating and exporting test results on Bantam Pluses, RWs, and WEs. We have a large group today, so please remain muted. I will hold a Q&A at the end of the presentation, at which time I will read questions from the chat and call on people who indicate that they have a question. With that, let's get started. So a quick overview of what we're going to go ahead and cover today. We're going to start off with navigating to the test results where you can find those. And then we're going to look specifically into creating meter, CT, and PT test reports. We're going to go ahead and go into the results, load the results, and then export the reports. Then we'll also look at site reports and simple site reports and how they differ from each other. With that, we'll go ahead and jump into the software. So today we're going to be working with WinBoard Embedded. This is on Bantams, RWs, and WEs. So yes, we are covering 3 pieces of equipment today, but they all use the same piece of software, WinBoard Embedded. Now, before we go ahead and jump into it, I want to make sure that everyone knows that I am using a WinBoard Embedded emulator. I don't actually have a Bantam or an RW or a WE right here in front of me. So the emulator's not perfect, so there might be an error that might pop up, or there might be a blank page on a report. So just be aware that it works on the actual equipment. Our emulator just might have an issue here or there that might come up. So from the main menu, we're going to go into Administration, and then View/Edit Test Results. In here, we'll be able to view our meter, CT, and PT test results, or we can also explore our sites. Now, if we're looking to export a report on a single piece of equipment, this is where we're going to want to do, like go into our meter test results or CT or PT test results. But if we're looking to export a report that's going to cover multiple pieces of equipment, we're going to want to do that in a site report, which we'll cover here in a little bit. But first, let's go ahead and explore the meter test results. When you first go in, you'll see the report view will populate, and there will not be any information here. So what we first have to do is come over to Load, and this will search our database for any meter tests that have been done. So, for example, on this one, we have 2 different tests that were done. I'll go ahead and select this one and say OK. This will now populate the report view with all of the parameters and metrics that were recorded when the test was ran. So we can see that we have meter number, serial number, AMR ID. We have all the information here. If we scroll down, we can also see the test results. So we can see there was a 1-phase test done on this in watt hours as a series test. From here, we can click the print function to export this report. And we will have the options to either print it to an external printer, or we can also print it to a PDF. By printing it to a PDF, we'll be able to save it on like a USB, thumb drive, junk drive, or somewhere else on the unit. So we'll go ahead and do that, for example, do print to PDF and click print. From there, it's going to go ahead and allow you to select where you would like to save the document at. So this is where you could navigate down, find your thumb drive, and save it to there. For today's example, I have a folder created to specifically save this to. So we'll do meter report, and then click Save. And then you can see I'm in the sample reports folder where I saved it. And once we open it up, we can see the report looks identical to the one that was generated inside of WinBoard Embedded. Another option that we have within this meter report, this meter results, is we can click Edit, and it will take us to the test results editor. From here, we can go ahead and click Load, and once again, we can load our test result. Or if we wanted, we could do multiple test results and say OK. And this is going to give us all the raw data. So we have everything from the as found as left data to what metric was tested, as well as what step and element and the start and stop times. From here, we have the option to import or export data. Now, for example, I have these 2 meter tests reported here, and I can go ahead and say I want to export this to a different Bantam or to a different WE, different RW. I can go ahead and load the results here, click export, and then I can select to export it as a file to import into a WE-20. WE-20 is the name we use for our databases on these pieces of equipment. So by exporting it in this option, we can then import the file onto a different Bantam, for example. And once we click OK, it'll pull up a window and allow us to export it as a .text, .xml, .csv, XLS, or HTML file. Once we go ahead and save that file, we are able to then put it onto a USB, take it off of this unit, plug it into a different unit, and import that data using the import function. The other option we also have is we can export it into our WATnet software, like WATnet Basic, WATnet Express. By doing that, it would be the same process. We would export to this file type, say OK, and then select what format we want to save it in. Another option you would have if you wanted to export it for the WATnet software is you could also do a full sync of this database and export all the results immediately onto our WATnet software. We're not going to cover that feature specifically in this webinar, but we do have a series of webinars here to come that will cover how to completely sync your database onto WATnet Basic, onto the WATnet softwares. So from there, that's not up and ready to go yet, but it is planned to by next week. If you are interested in receiving all those webinars, you can go ahead and send us an email, and we'll make sure that you are notified once those are available. From this window, if you also wanted to edit any of the test results, you could edit them here and also do a save. And that about sums it up for the meter test results. So we'll close out of here, and we'll go on to the CT test results. Inside of here, it's very similar to the meter test results. We have a lot of the same options over here. We can go ahead and click Load. All right, here's one of the errors I was talking about that could possibly come up during using the emulator like I am right here. Then if we were using if I was using a Bantam or an RW, you wouldn't be seeing this. So I'll go ahead and restart the software. And then real quick, back from the main menu, we would go Administration, View/Edit Test Results, and we're back to the window that we were earlier. So CT test results, load, there we go. We see that we have this CT test result right here that we'll go ahead and load, say OK. And we have all the raw data right here in front of us that was taken from that test. From here, we can go ahead and we could either edit some of the data and save it, or we can go ahead and print it. From here, we have the same options where we can print it to an external printer, or we can print it to a PDF to put on our USB. We click print, and then I'm going to save it to that same sample reports folder I had created earlier. Do CT report. Or if you had your thumb drive down here, you could go down there and pick it as well. So we'll say save. We can see it's generated as a PDF. We open it, and it resembles what we saw there inside the WinBoard embedded software. Now, how the CT test results differs from the meter test results window is we have this graph button. When we click on graph, it takes all this raw data and puts it into a graphical format. From here, we can also click and drag and then release, and we can zoom in to any of these test results that we want to see. Now, if we zoom in a little bit too much somewhere, we can also right-click and do an unzoom. And it's more or less like a undo feature. Or if we want to zoom all the way back out, we can also right-click and do undo all zoom /pan. And we're right back to the view that we were at in the beginning. If we go ahead and click on the edit button, it'll take us back to all of our raw data here. Now, just like in meter test results, we also have our import and export functions. When we click export, brings it up for us to select an export location. Then we can do a .csv file or a .text file for our CT test results. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. And we can see inside of our PT test results, it's identical to the CT test results. You have the same loading and saving functionalities, printing it, as well as the graphical option in importing and exporting. So because PT test results are exactly the same as CT test results in the terms of how to use it, I'm not going to go ahead and cover that here. If you're able to do a CT test result, then you're able to go ahead and export a PT test result. So from here, we're going to go ahead and transition into talking about site reports and exporting multiple pieces of equipment into a single report. So in order to navigate to our site reports, we're going to go into Site Info. And then we will have the options of a site report or a simple site report. A site report is going to give you all of your data. It's going to include all the raw data. It's going to include all the details that you had recorded for the site. Whereas a simple site report is going to condense it down to a single day, a single day's worth of testing, kind of into a single page, 2-page report that you can easily print off and hand off to someone. So we'll first start with the larger one, the site report. Upon clicking on it, our site report wizard will go ahead and launch. And this is to help walk you through the process to make it as seamless and painless as possible. So we'll say next. And it will allow us to select a site name and if we want to include our company logo. So for this one, we have a drop down and we'll do our 2.11 site. And then for our company logo, we'll do browse and I'll use our Radian WE-20 logo. You don't have to include the company logo, but if you want to use your own logo, you can go ahead and import it here, and it will include it at the top and the bottom of the report. Now we'll continue by clicking the next button. And then we can select our circuit from this site. This one we can see that we have 2. We'll go ahead and stick with feeder 1 for this report and say next. And then we can select our test date range. So if we wanted it from a single day, we could keep it as April 3rd, 2020 through April 3rd, 2020. If I wanted to, say I wanted a few years worth of data, so I'll go back to May 3rd, 2017, up until April 3rd, 2020. And then you can do the same thing if I actually wanted it until April 2nd. I can change that as well. And then say next. From here, we're able to select what all equipment do we want to use in our site report. So if you only wanted to use meters, if you only wanted to include transducers, you could do that by clicking this Show button, and it will gray it out. And then you can also select specific meters by clicking this little drop-down and selecting the meter number as well as the day it was tested. So the way I have it set up right now, I will only show meters from this database on this site. That includes the tests that were done in 2020 as well as 2018. But if I wanted to include everything, I can go ahead and check all the boxes. And now I have 3 CTs that will be on the report. I will have 3 PTs that will be on the report, as well as a transducer. So now we'll say next. And here, this is where if you were using a RW or if you were using a WE and you did a power quality check, this is where you can select to see those metrics, those wiring checks, as well as the harmonic data. So once again, just like the previous screen, we can either not include any of it by unchecking the show box, or we can include just an individual one by checking it. For this one, I'll go ahead and do all 3. And then the drop-downs work exactly the same if there's more than one test. You can select the specific test that you want to use. From here, we'll click Next. And then because we do have harmonic data, we're able to select what voltage and current waveforms we want to include, as well as if we want it to be in a bar graph. So for this one, let's say we want A voltage, A current, as well as V voltage and B current. So once we have everything that we want to display on the report here, you can go ahead and click Start. From here, the site report will go ahead and begin generating and loading a preview for us to see. So we can see up here we have 15 pages. And this covers, for example, right here. We have our company logo down here at the bottom, as well as up here at the top. We navigate through these pages, we can see our metrics, we can see our meter results. Here's our harmonic data. You can see that we have the voltage and current for A, as well as the voltage and current for B. Harmonic data, and also the CT test results. From here, we can go ahead and do the same print function we did before, where we can print it to an external printer, or we can print it to a PDF and then select our destination for it. Or we can also do this export button that's like a little floppy disk. And we have the options to export it as an Excel file, PDF, or Word. Upon selecting your option, it'll begin creating the export file. Then you can select your destination and hit Save. Moving forward, we're going to go to the Simple Site Report. When you first click on it, it will allow you to go ahead and either search by a specific equipment number, by a site's address, or a site name. So to make sure that we have the same site, we're going to go ahead and do site name, do search, and then we have our drop down of all of our sites on this database. So we'll go ahead and do 2.11 again and say OK. And then we have the options of what circuits do we want to use, what meter, as well as what CTs, what PTs, and what transducer. So all these are drop downs that you can go ahead and select from. And then once you have all the data that you want here, you can go ahead and click OK down here at the bottom. And then it'll bring up all the test dates for this site. So this is where instead of having all the data for every single test that was done within a time range, you can go ahead and say, okay, I can see that I have a test on 12/18/2018. That's the one I want the report for. And say, okay. And now this pulls up a single page report where we have the meter that was tested on that day, CT test results, as well as the power quality check that was done. From here, we can once again give our print function, print it to an external printer, or print it straight to a PDF, just like we saw within our meter, CT, and PT test results. Or we can click on the little floppy disk again and export it as an Excel sheet, a PDF, or a Word document. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and begin taking questions. To avoid talking over one another, please use the chat feature to pose your question or ask to be called on. I will then go ahead and read the questions submitted in chat, or I will call on you to ask a question out loud. All right, we've got a question. Is the site report wizard new? Ryan, correct me if I'm incorrect, but I believe the site report wizard is not new to Winboard Embedded. Thank you for your question, Steve. All right, question from Ed Hunter. How do you load the data to the load? Ryan, do you mind taking this one?
Hey, Ed, this is Ryan. When you say loading the data per se, are you looking at regenerating a waveform or something different? I just want to make sure that I'm answering that correctly for you. All right, follow-up question, how do you install the data for each meter? I'm going to try to answer that, and if I'm not answering it in the way that I'm interpreting that correctly, then let me know. For each specific meter, you can tie each of those meters that you want to test, you can tie those to a site, and then use that information that you then put into the site inside of the RW, Bantam, or WE, take that, load that site when you go out to that site, bring it over, and then all of your data for that meter one, should be attached to the site, but then two, be able to be exported out through either both reports or through the edit view meter test results. And you can choose that meter or multiple meters to then export out from Winboard Embedded.
All right. Kyle, can the meter test results report formatting be customized? Ryan, do you mind taking this one?
The report formatting from like view edit test results, that cannot be customized. Site report and simple site report. The site report, what you can pull out can be customized, but not the formatting. Same with the simple site report. If you're looking for specific reports out or customizing those reports, usually I would recommend going to WE-20 Basic or WE-20 Express for even more customization. The RW, Bantams, and WE all have the ability to sync up to WE-20 Basic or WE-20 Express on a PC, and that uses a SQL server to hold all that data. Using that software, you can run a lot more customizable reports than you can from the unit itself. So if you're looking for a very custom report on, I want to see every 9S meter I've tested in 2018 from X to Y with this tag, something like that, I would look at exporting out from either WE-20 Basic or WE-20 Express moving forward or after that. If you're looking to change the formatting of it all, I would recommend changing the output from the RW, Bantam, or WE to a CSV file and massaging that data a little bit yourself into a format that you want, or have a pre-made Excel sheet that you can then load that data into.
When exporting test results, I don't see the test board number in the file. How do I know what board did the test? From my understanding, there's not a way that you can see exactly what board did the test. There's you can combine databases, but there's not a way to specifically see this test was ran on this Bantam or on this RW. From Rob, I have a Bantam Plus and I ran through the process as you were going through it, and I was not able to select more than 1 meter on site report or meter test results. How do I accomplish this? So within the meter test results, you are only able to export 1 meter at a time when you're doing a report. If you wanted to export multiple meters into a format to then put onto a different database, you can do that. But when it comes to generating a report from meter test results, you can only generate a report for a single piece of equipment. When it comes to the site report, though, was it more than, did you test meters with different numbers, or was it just 1 meter with 1 number that was tested multiple times?
Yeah, I'm muted here, so I can just talk to you.
Okay.
I've got several meters that I've tested. And when I go to, there's a checkbox next to each one, and I can select. But if I select one and go down to the next one, it just moves the check mark down. It doesn't allow me to put multiple check marks.
And then that's within the site report option or the meter test results?
Select site report for report. Yeah, select site report. I just brought up the screen and then hit load, and then I've got each site name and each meter there, and it only lets me put a check mark next to one of the meters that I tested.
And then just to make sure I understand you correctly, we're inside of either site report or simple site report?
Yeah, site report.
Okay. So you come in through here, next, select your site name.
Yeah, my screen doesn't look like that.
Okay.
It just comes up with load, print, options, and close is my options on the screen.
Similar to this?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Ryan, do you know why the site report would be coming up looking like the meter test results?
You may have the legacy form of sites enabled on your unit. Under the administration tab, under options, you can choose how your unit syncs with equipment. If you have the legacy sites enabled, or if you're syncing to WATNet legacy, if that's selected, it will use the older style of sites. Tristan was demonstrating the newer site capability, so that site report functionality and how we're showing it today, that might be because in options, if you're trying to sync to legacy, that would show up different than if you had it selected to WATNet, Express, or Basic.
Okay. Yeah, it's selected legacy. So I want to select WATNet Plus, Express, Basic.
If you select that, yes. If you swap over between the two, though, it will hide the data that is already currently there, because the sites that have been loaded or pre-put in there as of now, before the swap over to WATNet Plus, Express, Basic, that selection there, that's going to expect that site data in a specific format, which is completely different than the new format. So if you switch between the two, you'll lose sites on one end. You can swap between them back and forth, but if you have 20 sites with legacy selected and 2 sites with Basic, Express, Plus selected, if you go between them, you only see the 20 on one side or the 2 on the other side.
I got you. All right, that answers my question then.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, from Steve, meter number seems to override the site when doing a site report. If I change a meter, is the old meter still linked to the site? Yes, if you go ahead and change a meter that's an old meter, well, if you go ahead and change a meter, the old meter will still be linked to that specific site.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, this is Steve.
Hello, Steve.
Say when I do that, when we change, we set up our whole WE-20 by site, because we test in 50 different locations, so we do it by site and not by meter number.
Mm-hmm.
When we have a meter that fails, we change that meter, and then so the site now has a new meter number. And when I go back for a site report for after the meter's been changed, I no longer see the old meter results. And so that's why I ask, is there some way that they're unlinked once you've gone to a new meter number? I'll mute now and listen.
So is that old meter number still present within that circuit or within that site, or has that old meter number been completely removed?
Yeah, it'd be removed because the meter fails. We take it out, replace the meter, and now the site has a new meter number.
Okay.
And it's so like you can't see those test results anymore when you go to a site report because that meter's gone. It's not linked to that site anymore.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, do you know if it's possible to retrieve that old data again after it's been removed?
Not to my knowledge. The only way you would be able to possibly get that again would be to put that same old meter number back to that site associated with that again. The other option being possibly to put in a second meter inside of that, so put multiple meters in the same site, and then use the one that you're testing at the time to associate tests with that meter versus another meter.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Okay.
All right, let's wait about 15 more seconds for any additional questions. All right. Thank you all for attending. If you can think of any questions, please email technical support at technicalsupport@radianresearch.com, or you can reach us at 765-449-5576. You can also visit our website at radianresearch.com. We enjoy being your solutions partner and look forward to working with you. I hope you have a great day, and we hope to see you at the next presentation. Thank you.